We're not good.
Hello, dear, beautiful Joy. Isn't this just fantastic?
It's the best thing in the world that we can play like this. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, man.
Oh, look at that with that little sun coming in there. Isn't that absolutely beautiful?
Yeah, I mean, when you see them like this with the sun behind them, there's something quite wildly
Then you
beautiful.
start getting the dark and the lights, which are really beautiful. So you can put them in a little bit of mottled light, which will be good. Yes. Oh, so take a picture like with high light and shadow. Take a little picture of that right now, and then we'll have that as a reference point for where the lights and the darks must be. And then in the meantime, I'll just say this back to the camera. So if we get, these are sort of just blooms, a lot of high color blooms. But the idea is that if we could do something similar to this, it would be delicious, because you've got all this kind of soft edging, you've got watermarks, which sort of come in and make it really lovely. You can use rigger or the liner or the loose goose to make these thin sort of drippy lines and things like that. And we can also do some detailed background work where you're sort of doing this painting behind, which is beautiful, and it pulls out definition. So I've just been playing with that a little bit, and there's lots of fun tricks that we can do with that. But I think the overall idea is to make it loose and wet and beautiful, and let it flow and let it happen, and then we'll work it out from there. So this one you can see is a lot more undone, not completed yet, but that's also lovely.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Lovely, lovely. And the colors together, these brilliant colors, this is pinks and oranges together with a bit of rose madder for the deeper color. And beautiful with that is Prussian blue. You can also use indigo, which is lovely in it. And of course, because there's orange, you want to also put in a little bit of cerulean over there, or manganese. That lovely manganese color, because that loves to be with the orange, you know, just loves it. Ooh, yes. Ooh. Oh my gosh. That is divine.
I think that looks quite fun, doesn't it?
That looks phenomenally delicious. Oh yes. And look at all those folds. Ooh.
I know there's loads of folds.
Oh my gosh, how are we going to do all those folds? It's going to be very exciting. Oh my word. Very stunning. Okay, I love that. I love the white has got semi-shadow and the very high light areas as well.
Yeah, it is a bit mottled and stuff. I can move it and change it a bit. Oh,
that's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So if we were cropping it onto our piece of paper, it would be really lovely if we sort of cropped it a little bit like that. So some of them are already losing themselves off the edges. And
lovely.
You can see the negative spaces are all different. So you've got bigger negative spaces in the corner. You've got smaller. And you've got these beautiful little darks that are going to pop out between stems. Very nice. Very nice.
Yes, I've basically done that as well. That looks beautiful.
I think that's a really good way for it to look.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does look quite special, doesn't it?
Doesn't it just? Ding it. And the dark behind it is really something. Going that dark with watercolor, it takes a lot of without it getting dirty and muddy looking. You've got to put in deep, quickly, fast, and let it just go bang, just go straight in. Oh my goodness me.
Or should we just do it as a bit of a challenge? Why not?
Oh yeah, we can be challenged. We love that. I know.
And when my furniture is built in here, I'll be able to stand and work as well.
Oh, that's going to be even better, because actually that's why I'm in the kitchen right now, because the standing counter is the right height for me.
So my studio has got my beautiful fish at the back. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
They are busy laying eggs and stuff, and I've got that lovely light all the way. And this, then my desk and stuff is down here for now.
Yes.
But then when you turn out, I've got this view out. Look at that.
friendly man. Look at this.
That's my roof garden, and then the view out into the valley, and then the light goes all the way. Look, I've got all this lovely light coming in.
Unbelievably
So
wonderful.
this used to be an outside bathroom, as you can see by the tiles, and we just put a roof on it. Made myself a little studio.
Oh, I love it, love it. You can have the best time on those tiles because you can just splash, baby.
Yes, well, that's part of the joy of it. Let me just make some more room here.
Decisions about paper. So while while I'm making paper decisions, let me just talk a little bit about paper just for general interest. The best paper is anything that is 300 grams or over that is, and anything over from 300 grams upwards is going to be a little bit more expensive. So do the best we can with the paper that we can get in South Africa, because we don't always have access to all the lovely, which is a bit sad for us. So the pads that I'm working with is this one here. It's a Fabriano and a watercolor, and it's quite a good one. It's 300 grams, 140 pounds. And the size of this one is 32 by 41 centimeters, acid-free, made in Italy, ding-a-ling-a-ling. But it's also got quite a little bit, it's a cold pressed, and cold pressed means that it's still got a little bit of texture in it. If you imagine like the hot pressed, if you were to get hot pressed, it would have a little bit more of a smoother top, almost like it had been ironed, and then the paint the paint sort of runs a little bit quicker on it, which is lovely for flowers because you get an unpredictability in it.
Okay.
So I do like a hot pressed also for flowers, but I like everything. I paint on anything and everything just because, you know, we cannot always be fussy, and I just make do with what is. And then this one here is the other sheet that I've got is a bamboo, which is also quite nice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got quite a
Just
fun
making a
texture.
runs quickly good for flowers.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Fabiano watercolor, 32 by 41, 300 grams, and this one's just called Bamboo, and it's a mixed media.
Yes, and it's and I've got this a very, very long time ago, but I'm sure that, you know, you in Pretoria, you might have access to some good stores there. So this is a media one, which is quite a nice one. I've done some sweet work on here. So this is quite a nice technique to play with, where it's a lot of loose sort of background stuff. But you can see on here, what I actually did was use like a gold ink, little inking gold. It's quite fun.
Lovely. That looks beautiful.
Yeah, it was really lots of fun to play with this.
Wow.
And you can see it's a little bit more like a designer kind of a thing, but that lends itself to the strelitzias, which are very architectural in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can have a lot of fun playing with that kind of a look too. But the look that we're going for is a little bit more soft and loose. This is more architectural, if you can imagine that.
Sure. Okay, that's beautiful. I've got some lovely strelitzias outside in my little garden.
Oh, so you could do that.
And look.
Do you remember us doing poppies years and years ago?
Yes, that's beautiful, Joy.
I know, this is really lovely, this one too. But you see what's magic about this are the colors here.
Yes.
And the colors that show up against the orange are these beautiful, the blue greens and the ceruleans, and this kind of looseness is what we can emulate in our beautiful ranunculus. Yes, and you know that we can do a little cheating stuff to create that texturizing. I'm just going to bring this closer to the camera.
Oh yes, look, I can see.
Do you see that? Remember how we did this with Glad wrap, plastic wrap?
Yes, for sure. Oh, that's so clever.
Yeah, so we might want to do a little bit of that. I don't know if it's accessible to you. And tissue paper. Do you remember you gave me masses of tissue paper once?
Yes.
This be it too. Love caring.
Joy, isn't this fantastic? Are we not the happiest people?
Two little suckling pigs, as my mum would say.
Yeah, man.
Talk a little bit like that, you know, suckling pig.
Too wonderful. Okay, so let's just have a quick look now. You're showing me some other things that have got.
We want to just look at all the ideas, okay, to get out. Now you can see this one has got masses of background. And this kind of dark, deep background could work really well in this ranuncular idea.
Okay.
So it doesn't just have to be like one solid dark, but we can have beautiful darks with some sense of foliagey kind of things happening in it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Oh, that's really lovely, hey? And lots of light. We want to have lots of light. And
Yes.
I like this dappled light that is here.
Yes, I see.
That's nice for our little thing too.
So yes, that dappled light, and I think what you were saying, what I'm getting from what you're saying is that we contrast that lovely dappled light with the darker patches underneath. And I'm wondering if I shouldn't go and get pick a couple of leaves just for reference.
Oh no, you don't have to worry.
Okay.
Be randomly shaped.
We just make it up.
It can become a little distracting. Here there's some like that because and they're lovely. And you know what? We're not joining the Botanical Society and contributing our artwork to them. You know, because we don't even care if they don't belong in the same species because, you know.
Okay, thank you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And ranunculus.
That's really lovely.
Yeah, that's a lovely. They've got kind of broken up sort of looking leaves and things like that.
And also if I'm seeing correctly, Joy, you're going to choose different sort of colors for the background, like maybe a more purpley green background in one area and a slightly different dark in another.
And it's always a good idea to do this kind of mulling around of where do I want to go idea in your head. So that you kind of get focused.
Yes, for sure. And it also just helps you, it's almost like a concept, isn't it?
Yes. The part about doing this kind of faffing, and really this is faffing now, you know, the little paper and the paints and all that. I absolutely honor the faffing part of it. And the reason why is because you are assimilating information and you in that process of your mind body of incubation. So you assimilating the information and then you allowing it to sit there and incubate a little while. So while you're faffing, the incubation is actually starting to happen.
Yes,
so you've saturated yourself with some ideas, which is what we've done now, and now we're going to incubation. And while incubation is going on, you prepare your paper and you get your paint, you spray your palette. Always a very good idea with watercolor to have that little angle like you were saying. And we know the reason for that is that there's flow. When the water and the paint are flowing, they're filled with energy. And the energy of the flow starts to create these magnificent effects.
Oh, my dear Joy.
Oh, lovely friend. It's the happiness of the soul. And to paint really is happiness of the soul. Good. Okay, faffing.
No, I'm also faffing, getting my brushes out.
And then while we're in the faffing mode, and so when we look again at our image, we can go back to the lovely picture you took. You can see we've got these brilliant pinks. The pink that is going to help you get that color is called ochre or ochre rose. And if you don't have it, of course, don't worry, because we'll use alizarin crimson, or we'll use any of the sort of the reddy tones in that. But pink, when it's as sharp as this, it's really lovely to actually have the proper color, you know, the sharp.
Yeah.
So that's one. So ochre rose, and I'll just show you on my.
So did you call it ochre? Okay, I obviously don't have it. Is it ochre? Ochre pink.
Oprah as in Oprah Winfrey.
Oh, ochre pink.
Or opera.
Okay.
I don't know how people say it. Opera or Oprah. It's one of those things.
Okay.
And that'll be my one over there. But
Right.
in crimson we can also just use, and we can just bring it in, you know. So I just love to have this little ochre color.
Sure.
Because it has unbelievable zing in it. And zing is good.
Yeah.
So that's one of the colors we're going to dive into. And then you can see the red that we've got here is a very, would you say it's more of a yellow red or a blue red when you look at it?
That's hard for me to tell. I think Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's not accurate to your image, but
Yes.
you can decide, do you want it to be more orangey red or more blue red? So that's what you want to decide now, because you don't want, we want to get this clean and clear. And the reason is because opposite colors, contrasting colors, cause dirt, a dirty color.
Yes.
And so I'll just give you some of the ideas of why we want to start paying attention to the actual image color, and why we want to look at this. Now, if you see this, this is your beautiful orange. And chrome orange is a very strong, beautiful watercolor color for orange. And so if you have an orange, the opposite on the color wheel of orange is blue.
Is blue.
So you take your color wheel and you turn the dial, the key color, we're talking about an orange key color, and you go down opposite it.
It's more bluey.
You will see it's blue. So this is an orange red that I was saying to you, orange, when we talk about the undertone, this is an orange red. And so the opposite of that is going to be a blue green. So I'm going to explain it again a little bit better. Let's just start with the primary color first, red. Here's red. The opposite of red is green. So just think of Christmas.
Yes, for sure.
You know, then you get those two right. So red and green are opposite. The moment you put those two together in an image, they punch. It creates drama, it becomes dynamic, and it creates a vitality in the painting. It also brings your attention to it. Now, too much of that will just go, la, 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 and your head will go berserk.
Yeah.
So if you've got a redness in your orange, then you will want to have a greenness in the blue. Because the opposite of orange, I'm just going to hop to the one across, the opposite of orange, of pure orange, is this amazing blue. All down to the blue. And into the cerulean blues, the cobalt blues, those are beautiful with it. Even Prussian blue is beautiful. But if your orange has a red undertone, your flower, you want to...
Then you need to go more green
in it.
Yes.
Just to give it a little thing. And it doesn't have to all be green. Just a little moment of green would be delicious.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay.
Okay, so I almost think, like, if I'm looking at my picture, I almost think like the red has got a blue undertone.
Okay, good. Oh, and
the yellow, sorry?
That will be great. If you see the blue undertone in it, can you see why that will be perfect? Because what's the opposite of orange is blue.
Yes.
So if you have a blue undertone in your red, then you're bringing the vibrancy of the blue-orange connection.
Okay. Now, when you say, I mean, in my, look, I'm a tiny bit colorblind. I'm seeing like a very yellow ranunculus on the left.
Yes.
But it's got orange, a lot of orange around the edges. It's like a sun with orange on the edges and very yellow in the middle, yeah?
Good, yes, that's right. Very nice.
Okay, and of course, because the pink also, I see now, this is going to be quite interesting, hey?
Yes. And the pink is going to just give it that zing pop, isn't it? It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, yes, so I'm seeing the blue undertones in those reds, and I'm seeing the red undertone in the orange.
Good. So if you can just have a color wheel with you and be aware of color and the contrasting. This is a newer dial, which is quite a nice one.
Okay, I'm going to make sure I get a color wheel.
But a color wheel is like a little bit of an essential to have in life. And you can see this one of mine is like over 20 years old. It's really old, but I love it.
Yeah.
It has done lots of journeying with me.
Aww.
I love it. And then you'll see the other key color is the opposite of yellow is the violet.
Yes.
So do you know an easy way to know this without looking at your color wheel, my friend?
You did tell me, and I'm not too far away from it. Just remind me again.
So if you take 3 fingers, and you say, these are my primary colors, red, yellow,
blue.
Okay, so red, yellow,
blue.
Now you put yellow and blue together, and what color do you get?
Green.
Yes. And what's the one that's left out is red.
Red. So then that's the opposite.
Yeah. Then you go red, yellow. Those two together, they become
orange. Red and yellow become orange.
And who did we leave out?
The blue.
Yeah. So here's the opposite.
There we go.
Take these two, red, blue, red and blue together.
Blue make purple and the yellow is left out. There we go.
That's very
lovely.
Easy. Just hold those three and then think who's left out. Then you've got it on your fingers.
Fantastic.
I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. I want it.
Yeah.
And some feeling grows. That's us. Okay. So
that is us.
So I'm going to give you one more little bit of our until we finish stuffing and incubating.
Sure.
So another little bit of information here is that this pink in this image is very striking. It's going to dominate the picture, and we're going to have to think very carefully about its placement and its size, because it could make the picture look a little garish if we just leave it there on its own. If we have one color, we must always repeat it somewhere else.
Yes, and I see everything else is repeated except the pink.
Yeah, there's a little, in my image, there's a little tingy bit of pink that wants to be hiding just behind
this one. Behind the red.
Yeah, we might just put it in, or we might splash some pink into the background, but we do want to have a feeling like everything has got a friend, right?
Yes, I've got my board.
Soft board, they are the corrugated plastic boards that estate agents use, and I like to get them in the black, and I like to get them that's about 3 to 4 millimeters thick. They're light, they're easy to carry around, they're lovely, they move when you want to make the water move, you can bounce them, and yeah, I love them. So this is the easy option. We don't do that other option of having to spray and tape and all that stuff, because life is too short to stuff a mushroom.
Okay, so all right, I've got like a clear piece of Perspex, which is great. It's got similar qualities.
Yes.
It wobbles.
That's good. Oh yes, Perspex is beautiful, and it's got, as long as it's got a little wobble and it's light enough. So what we're going to do now, before we start playing with our colors, we're going to take our piece of paper, and you're going to decide which side you want to paint on. Now, on all of our paper, apparently there is a right side and a wrong side. And well, there is a right side and a wrong side, but I'm not fussy. So for me, every side is perfect. If I make a messy, I can turn it over and paint on the other side, because you know what? It's the same on the other side, except the texture changes a little bit. And often the texture is a little bit more rough on the top and a little bit smoother on the bottom. And so you can work both ways. So we're going to decide, first of all, which way we want to put this down. Do we want a landscape or do we want portrait?
Well, I'm in a bit of a portrait setup now.
Good. Then we'll do portrait.
Is that okay? We'll just keep that?
Yeah, let's keep it that way. So we decide on that. And then we decide which side we want to paint on.
Okay.
That's sorted out. And then we get our spray bottle. And we're going to spray.
Yeah.
The whole back. So I'm going to take that of my paper. And I'm so glad I covered up my laptop now next to me.
Yeah.
You can see the spray goes everywhere. So it's actually a really good idea to just do that, because you'll be amazed at how messy we can be. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So Joy, what's the reason for you lifting the paper up to spray it?
Just so the water starts to run a little bit. It doesn't have to be. Then I like to use like a very soft brush.
Yeah.
Just make sure that I've evenly wetted. Now, a word of caution here, that if you've got like a basting brush, one of those really, really big soft brushes, what you want to make sure is that you are, when you're sweeping, wiping, and making sure the water is even, you do not touch the paper with the ferrule. the edge of the paintbrush, because
yes,
often
because
people will kind of scratch the ferrule against the piece of paper, and when it's damp, what's going to happen, it's going to score the paper, make a dent in it. And once you've got a dent, you've got a dent. It will never be gone. So you just very gently brush very upright, sweep through. There we go. Nice. I've got it kind of nicely wet. And then what I do is I look from the side. I go down and peek at it from low down and look at it from this level right down here. And I look to see that it's evenly wet. You can easily see that the shine is everywhere. And if it's everywhere, then we've done it the right way. And then we flip it on over. And try and place it as straight as you can in your place. As straight as you can. And it's going to look like mine.
Okay, so did you say you turn it upside down now?
Yes, so as soon as you wet the whole back, so gently, don't put rough fingers on edges, just flip it over and place it down as straight as you can, and then just let it rest there. And you can see it's going to look like the Flyaway Nun, and that's good. We're happy for that. The Flyaway Nun experience.
Okay.
Now I'm going to bring my little inky things here too, because I'm going to show you what we're going to do with inks as well, because it's always nice to play with everything, you know? When you're an artist, there's just no end to how much stuff you must have. You must have lots of stuff and lots of space for all your stuff. All right, so if yours is looking a bit fly away like mine, is it?
Yes, it is a little. It's flying away on the ends.
Perfect. We like that. We're happy for that.
On the top and bottom ends, but it looks basically like that.
That's wonderful. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wet on the side. So you can see I just let this curl up, and I'm going to wet it again and my board on the underside. And I'm just leaving it. I'm not pushing it down. I'm not pressing it. It's going to find its way. It's going to soften down and become nice and relaxed. We've got to just let it gently ease itself into position.
Aha, okay.
The energy that we start to play with, the moment you step into engaging with your piece of art and you start to play with the water, then that moment you drop into allowing. You just go, boom, straight into I allow, I let it happen. What comes is perfect. I'm in the moment with what is. I'm accepting whatever comes my way. And you sort of just settle down. There's no need for us to accomplish anything. The world is not going to stop spinning if this is not a perfect piece. It's only a piece of paper. And we really settle down into that mindset. Now, I'm going to leave mine like this. And you can leave yours as well. The moment we wet on top, it's going to settle down quicker. But for now, I would like the water to just settle into the fiber of the paper. And so this is what I want now. The water must start to settle in, and it must just start to relax and settle down, and so must I. Relax and settle down. So it's a little bit edgy, and that means that it's not ready. It means that I'm also a little edgy, so I must relax. So we're going to look at our colors, and we're going to play, getting some little ideas of colors ready to start to play in our flow. So you've also got a palette. Yep. Nice, well done. So we've got our palette, and what we do is we take the tube of paint and we squeeze pretty much the whole thing into these little wells.
Sure.
And wonderful thing about that is if you do it this way, you also create a reservoir of color as if it was in its tube, but it's more accessible, immediately accessible than it being in a tube.
Yes.
And when you've finished painting, you leave this to dry, air dry. The whole thing must dry, and then you put your lid on. Don't put your lid on and go away for weeks with it being damp, because mold will grow.
Okay.
So you want to do that. And so those little wells must stay. And then when you're ready to work with them, all you do is to get your brush, dampen it down, and then you go into the color. I'm going to go into this pinky color, and you just tickle it. Give it a little tickling, and then get a little bit going over there. So that's all you do. It's as simple as that. Now what I must do here, before I go any further, is I want to clean my palette, because you see my pink is running into this green coming down. It's making a mess there. So I actually do want to just clean my palette a little bit, so I don't have any of these funny things coming into it.
Right, I get it.
It's a pretty good idea to start with a clean palette, Joy. So I'm going to do that quickly. And when I clean it, I just spray it and get a tissue paper and just do this. Wipe it away, and there you go. And then I'm back to a beautiful clean palette ready to play. Okay, how's that? Easy enough, eh?
Yeah, fantastic. This little roll of kitchen towel is the best thing ever.
Oh yeah, fantastic. The tissue paper is invaluable. You want to, or a roll of toilet paper is good. And I've seen people take a roll of toilet paper, cut the bottom of a Coca-Cola 2-liter goodie, and then take the cartridge out the center of the toilet paper. Pull up from the middle out the spout of the...
Yes, that's clever. Then you can just use one hand.
Yeah, and then you just pull it out, and it just keeps coming until you pull it off. So it's quite a nice idea at that too. All right, so here you've got your little colors. And so let's start doing that. Get your color in your palette. Tickle it up with some water. So you've got a little reservoir of liquid here. And make sure it's quite juicy, so you can add more water. And each time, make sure it's clean. It's clean water, and your brush is clean. You don't want to be cross-pollinating.
Yeah. So shall we just start on like the rose madder or permanent rose or alizarin or something?
Let's start. We're going to start with the light colors. So we're going to start with your pinky colors and your yellows. You always want to go the lightest ones first with watercolor. So get those lovely vibrant lights down first, and then we can decide how much of them we want to keep as we go. So you make a little reservoir. Comme ça. That's it. Wonderful. And then what I do is I put this brush, instead of washing the paint off this brush, I just put this brush on my palette, and then I know that's my pink brush.
Sure.
Yes. All right. Then I'm going to just tickle up my yellow. And the yellow that I want to use is this very, very light lemony yellow, would be nice. Or you could use a cadmium yellow. Now, you said in your email which ones push and which ones react. It's really nice to know which do. The cadmiums are like, they're like the bullies a little bit. So wherever they are behaving, wherever they go in with anybody else, they sort of push and say, hey, get out my way, I'm here. So they're a little bit, they make an activation, which is quite fun. They create a little drama wherever they go. So I really like that. Yeah. So you could use a lemon yellow, and you can see how I write on my, I'm just saying this to the camera. I have written on the sides of my board all the colors. So this is always yeah. And I'll just say this to the camera as well, that when you doing the layout of your colors, look at your color wheel. Look at the color wheel and go in the same circle as the color wheel, with your yellows moving into your oranges, moving into your reds. so that you've kind of got the same colors together. And then my other best tip on this is, before you squeeze it out in there, just lay each of the tubes. So you think you want lemon yellow there, you lay the tube there. And then you think I want cadmium yellow here, you lay the tube there. Then I want to have yellow ochre or raw sienna, then you lay that. So you lay each of the tubes where you think you want to put them until all your tubes are laid out around your palette. And only then, when you're absolutely certain that you've got them in the right order, do you squeeze it out. Buy these little condiment cups if you go to any catering place, and you buy these teeny little cups with lids, and I squeeze a bit of color into that, and I write on the lid with the permanent marker what the color is inside there. And then you can see this is an egg box that you just place these into. And so these are there ready to use. And the reason why this is absolutely fabulous is because what happens is that you put a little bit of color in here, like that. And when you're ready to paint, and this is good for pouring paint, you're going to do the same thing. You get your brush and you just tickle up that little reservoir of, and you've got a pourable little container of deliciousness here. And those little pourable ones are beautiful, because then you get this randomly splashy stalks and all sorts of gorgeous things can result. So can you see there's a little liquid in there? Yes. So those are good things to also get. And you know, when you've poured that out, you've still got the little hard reservoir waiting for you for next time you want it. And you can mix it up as thickly or as thinly as you want. So your consistency can be thicker or thinner.
Okay.
So this is a nice little plan, and then you can pop them in here, and then when you're painting, they don't fall over because they're in this little egg box thing. And then I've got this inner box with the lid that I pop on, and life is beautiful. I've got 2 racks here. Look at this. Tum, tum, tum. Where's Bornaz?
Okay.
Now, what else am I going to use here? So tell me what colors you've got there, my friend. In all, what are your colors?
Okay, so it's actually quite simple. If I start at the lemon yellows, I've got lemon and cadmium, and then yellow ochre.
Yeah.
Moving on to raw sienna, cadmium orange, cadmium red, and vermilion.
Yes.
Then rose madder, permanent rose, and alizarin crimson.
Okay.
Heading on to Indian red.
Okay, Indian red's good.
And then I've got on the other side is light red, burnt umber, burnt sienna. And then we start moving to the purples, purple lake, darks and violet, ultramarine, cobalt blue, and cerulean blue.
Okay, cerulean blue we're definitely going to use. Cobalt blue definitely use. Have you got any violet?
I've got darks and violet.
There you go. Good, good. We're going to probably want a little violet. And what green did you say? Sap green or viridian? What do you
I've got sap, emerald, hunters, and viridian.
Ooh, okay. Very nice. Oh, gorgeous.
And then some Prussian blue.
Yeah, we love that. Okay, you've got good colors. That's really good. So I'm just
I think it's because I think it's because you helped me lay out my.
Yes.
What do you call this thing? My palette.
Palette, yeah. We did that. So you can see I've mixed up a little dioxazine violet in a little tub over here too. I've got a bit of that.
Okay.
Open it into your palette. It's fine. But I'll show this way of doing it just so that we can show to the camera, you know, different ways of showing up and doing stuff. And you've got those beautiful oranges, which is great, your cadmium oranges. I'm going to mix up a little cadmium too. So just sort of preparing your colors now, and you'll notice that your paper is starting to rest down a little bit. Can you see that?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. This is a little orange and I'm mixing up here.
So now should I make it into all these little pouring cups?
Yeah, you can put a little bit into the pouring cups because pouring, it gives you a beautiful effect. So you can put like a pea-size amount of paint into them, and then just pull away from the paint. Don't mix that whole pea-size amount. Put the pea-size right on the edge, and then tip your little cup, spray into it, and pull a bit of the color into the water. But don't mix the whole thing together because then it's quite wasteful.
I see. Okay, there we go. Because remember last time we actually put the last little bit of the tube we cut off and put into these little cups.
Which is really good. I'm so glad you
get
said
the last bit out.
Yeah. Have you got a picture of that or no?
I've got, well, the one I'm busy with right now, I've got a picture of.
Okay.
Let me see if I can.
You can just hold it up to
I've cut, I'll just turn my camera. I don't know if we can see.
There you go. So you
I've
just
cut
put
the
it in.
top, I cut the top off and put it in there so all that paint doesn't get wasted.
Love it.
Which is what you showed me last time.
So responsible and so honoring of life.
But I'm going to take it out now while I'm working. I'm just going to put my little bit on the side.
That's good. And then what's always a good idea to paint the same painting again, because you can imagine that you're doing a lot less of this then. You've kind of got all your colors out, you've done this incubation is sitting well in your brain, and you sort of know where you're going and what you're doing. So it's a good idea to do another painting soon after you've done this one, or do two at the same time, or even three. And see quickly that some colors have got a lot more chalky sort of look to them. So when you're looking through the color into the paper or looking at the image, it can look a little chalky or a little hazy, the color, not as vibrant. And those are the opaque colors. The colors that are translucent are the ones that are more, you can almost see through them. They're almost transparent. And there is a way of looking at that and trying to work out, well, what have you actually got in your palette by doing a little exercise, taking a black permanent marker. And what you do is you make a line, you etch quite a strong sort of line through your page, and then you paint on top of it. So I think we could do that one of these days, and I can show you that as well, if we're interested in that. It's always nice to know who's transparent, who's translucent, who's opaque. These are good things to know. And you've got a little ultramarine blue or cobalt blue going there too, haven't you?
I think so. I'm still struggling with my orange. I can't keep up with you.
I don't know. I've got mine ready. So you just go at your own pace. You can see here what I've also done, what Glenn was showing me, is this little cap of a cobalt blue. So I just cut it open, and there's an amazing amount that's caught up in that little cap and that top part. And then I just pop it in here with a little water, and then it's available to us. It just allows its pigment to be released through the last little bit. And then when we're talking about paints, what we really want to do is we want to buy the best quality that we can afford. Buying those little boxes of cheap children's art watercolor palettes with mixed colors, it's really, unless you're going to be doing something that looks what can I say? if you're willing to have a picture that looks a bit chalky and a little bit less vibrant, then you can do that. But what I would absolutely suggest is that you go for the most worthwhile paints that you can afford, and work with those, and get the pleasure of your painting. Even if you only buy 3 tubes, you can do so much with 3 tubes. So what I'm doing now with my paper, I'm just sort of giving it, I call this burping it. So you sort of lift it and sort of let it go down, and you can see, if you look at underneath, you'll see if there's any dry patches, then you can just spray them with a little water and spray the back of your paper again, and then it'll start really lying down flat. But just, you've got to be terribly gentle.
Okay.
Terribly gentle with this. And while we're just letting that last bit happen, I'm going to just again talk about the brushes quickly. So these are my flats, and this is what a flat brush looks like. And when you see the difference, you can see that some of them have got longer bristles than the other. So this one's a little shorter than that one. If we line up the ferrules, you'll see that some of them are longer and some of them are shorter, and some of them are way shorter and narrower, and so it goes down the line. What I like to have is a variety of flats. I really like painting with flat brushes, and I want to have a few different kinds. I want to have longer, thicker, and I also want shorter and narrower. So I want to have a bit of all of these available to me. I love this one and this one because both of these, because they're a little bit longer, they have got more swing on them, and they sort of flip and flow a little bit more because there's more bristle to be playing and doing that. When you come to the shorter ones, there's a lot less play. And even if you run your finger over it, it doesn't move as easily. It's kind of bristly, whereas this one has got a lot more play. So those are the flats, which are good, and I play with those. These are the rounds, and I'm going to just show you the different ones here. And you can get different sizes for those too. And you're just going to have to get to the point of playing where you play a lot, and then you can decide what it is that really you love. So here you've got your point brushes, the rounds, the points, and you can buy really beautiful expensive brushes, which is great. If you can afford that, do it. The way to know you've got a really good brush is that it comes to a fine little lick point. And when a brush is dry, it doesn't look as delicious as that. But when it's wet and you bring it in and then flick it, do a little flick like that, it should come to a really nice point. And when your brush has stopped being a lovely pointy brush, then it can be another brush for something else. So those are the point brushes. Then the other brushes that are lovely are, let me find these. These are my ultimate best brushes, Everestist. And these are loose gooses, and you can only get through them through this one, through Cheap Joe in America. And this is just such a beautiful, beautiful brush. You can see it comes to a long, thin, narrow, licking little point. And these are fantastic for those little stalks, and you sort of flick them off, and they are absolutely exquisite. And this one is a sword or a dagger, and you can see it's got the same kind of beautiful little ending point to it. It's just delicious to you'll put it down, and then you can pick it up and run it off and pick it up to its point, and you get these beautiful soft lines. A variation on that, which is not as dramatic, are these, which are your riggers or liners. And these don't come so much to a beautiful long elongated point, but they do come to a beautiful point when they're wet, and they will help you also to make twigs and little narrow branches and things like that. So those are also beautiful ones. So those are liners and riggers. So I would recommend you get a loose goose. If you can get just a few brushes, this would be my basic base brush observation. I would get a point brush, this one. I would get a loose goose, If you can't get a loose goose, get a rigger, and I would get a flat brush. If you can't get anything else, you can get 3 brushes. That would be my 3 brushes that I would be able to do pretty much anything with these 3. Right, lovely. How are you doing there, Glenn?
I'm doing fine. I'm just reacquainting myself with my brushes.
Okay.
I've also got like a very basic layout. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got 7 brushes.
Good, nice.
2 flats, 2 points, and a rigger, and this little one I found recently. I went hunting for it. It's the closest to a little loose goose I could find in South Africa.
Divine.
It's got a very soft little, long soft tip, so it moves nicely.
Nice. That's what we want. Good, good.
But it's not easy to find those loose gooses.
You can only get them through Cheap Joe's in America. If you go online and order it. When you're working, I put mine on an old cloth, an old dishcloth like this, so there's it's absorbing the moisture, having them lying flat, ready to use. When I'm finished working with my brushes, you must make sure that they are absolutely dry and that you've cleaned them. And you can clean them with a little bit of dishwashing liquid in your hand. Just take a little in your hand and then just sort of rub it and scrunch it and make sure you get it out of the ferrule, and you've cleaned your brush. But gentle always when you're cleaning and working with your brushes. Press the color out, and when you finish working with it, just tidy up the bristles and then lie it down this way to dry. Not that way until it's absolutely dry. And the reason for that is that if there's moisture, it runs into the ferrule, and eventually it runs into where the wood is and the paint, and eventually that all starts to peel off. Comme ça. Like this one. I don't know if you can see it there. It's all began to peel off already. This is a very old brush. But this is going to happen eventually. When the paint goes, you get a wobble on the ferrule, which starts to make the brush unstable. So it's a good idea to let it dry flat, absolutely dry. You can put it in a jar, bristles up. This is a good way to store them, or leave them lying flat and open in a room, in a space, if you can. Or if you're traveling, you take one of these these sort of like bamboo mats are really good to take because it's sturdy. And then you take your brushes and just do this, pop it in here, and make sure, let me go up a little bit here so the camera can capture that, make sure the brushes are below the end point of the bamboo. And you do this, and then you just wrap the whole thing up, tie it up, put it this way in your basket so the bristles are all up and nothing is going to press on those bristles because you've got this hard outer edge. And that's the way to travel with it. But again, they must be dry before you go zooming around the world with your lovely brushes. Shall we begin, our friend? Should we just begin? Are we ready?
I think so. I've only got one red mix. Oh no, I've got cadmium and permanent rose.
Okay, that's good. Well, we're going to start with our the pinky colors, pinky red colors, and we're going to start with the yellow. We're going to do those first, and we're going to drink some water.